and especially warm welcome to you for this Christmas edition of the Big Match. As you probably guessed, we've come from the children's ward today at the Whitting Hospital in North London. I suppose over the course of a year we get more letters from children than from anybody else. We thought it would be rather nice at Christmas time to share some of the fun of the Big Match with youngsters, and particularly with youngsters who, for the time being at any rate, can't get out and play on the fields themselves. Sister Fenton, thank you very much for making us so welcome. They all look a bit frisky, in fact.
Yes, they're doing very well, and most of them should be playing football again in the new year. Thank you very much for coming and making our Christmas so enjoyable.
Well, we've thoroughly enjoyed what we've had so far, and I think there's a tremendous lot of fun for all of you to have the rest of this afternoon, because we have the best of the action, as usual. And today, the youngsters in this Whitting Hospital have a chance to talk to some of the famous names in football. Names, for example, like Geoff Hurst. There he is in the background. Himself a bit of a cripple, of course, with this plaster cast on his back out of the West Ham side at the moment. And in the next bed, of course, there's George Graham, fighting at the top of the First Division for Arsenal against Leeds United. A nice little party going there. One or two nurses too. And some nurses there also for Jimmy Hill. And with Jimmy Hill on that bed, the Spurs skipper, Alan Mullery. Well, as I say, we've got plenty of good action coming your way today, and our main match today comes from the home of the Arsenal at Highbury. Vincent, what about a question from you?
What is in the match? Which match that you've played has been that you've been most nervous?
The most nervous? I think most players are nervous before every game, Vincent. I think the most nervous one was when I made my debut against Liverpool when I played for Aston Villa. I was only 18 at the time, and I was very nervous that game. As I said, most players are very nervous before every game.
What about things like the first cup final, George? Were you very nervous then?
Not particularly. I think every game, most players are nervous before every game. Wembley, sometimes you're a little bit more nervous there because it's a bigger occasion, Brian. You take every game as it comes.
Barry, what do you want to ask George Graham? You don't know?
Oh, he's shy, very shy.
I wouldn't mind asking George Graham. He won our Golden Goals competition last season. I'm wondering if he's going to win it this season as well, because there's one extra special goal, George, you've scored on television.
Yeah, I scored one against Liverpool this year. It was a very good goal, Brian. I'm going to get a better one than that.
Let's have a look at that one for a start, in any case. Actually, Sister Fenton's just joined us now with two terrible admissions. One is that she really didn't know that football existed, and two, that she's a rugger fan, which is bad. But what do you want to ask George, Sister?
One problem that does concern us all a lot is the problem of football hooliganism, which seems to be increasing. And I would like to know what you think is the solution to this.
It's a very, very difficult problem, Sister. I think my own suggestion would be to ban the actual hooligans for about a period of 12 games and don't allow them to watch football at all. I think that would be one of the answers, but it's a very difficult to find the right solution.
How do you find which are the hooligans?
Well, the ones that the police pick from the crowd, that's fighting and causing disturbances. It must be a very difficult job to do.
Stan there, you're a Chelsea supporter, aren't you?
Arsenal.
Spurs?
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Oh yes, that's right. What did you think of Alan Mullery? He kept on about Spurs this and Spurs that and Spurs the other.
Well,
are there any Spurs players you'd like to see in the Arsenal team?
I don't know really. There's only one player I'd like to see in the Arsenal team, which is highly impossible. That's Pele.
Pele? Nothing's impossible at Highbury, Stan. You should know that. Do you think they're going to win the championship?
Yeah, they got a good chance.
You think?
I mean, in fact, I was interested in Alan saying earlier that he thought that Arsenal would win. I mean, that was interesting, George, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask Stan what's the best game he's seen at Highbury this year.
There's two games I really like. That was the first game against Manchester United when you beat them 4-0, and Lazio when you beat them 2-0.
Both victories, Stan, eh? Yeah, I hope to see a lot more of them this season.
Yeah.
Alvin, you haven't had much to say for yourself. Hey? You're a bit of a footballer, you told me, didn't you? Mm. And who do you play for? Which team do you play for?
Oh, well, sometimes I do play for Tottenham.
Yeah, but what? Not for Tottenham Hotspurs?
No.
No, because I haven't seen you out there at White Hart Lane.
I think he's a Spurs fan, Alvin, aren't
Are
you?
you a Spurs fan? In the arms of an Arsenal player? Good Lord. What are your mates going to say about that?
Well, I do like Arsenal sometimes.
Do you?
When they play their best.
Do you? But when do you like Spurs then? You like Spurs all the time? I see. Well, that's it from the big match today, a rather different one than usual. I hope very much that you've enjoyed it, and I hope we've brought just a little bit of happiness too for all the boys and girls in the Whitting Hospital here in North London. Now, thanks too, of course, to the hospital staff who really have made us so welcome this afternoon. Just to remind you, of course, that it's Cup Tie Week next week with On the Ball next Saturday lunchtime and a special Cup Tie edition of the big match next Sunday. Now, one final message from all of us here, whether you're watching, whether you're playing, indeed whether you're refereeing as well, we have just one thing to say. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy